From eating still beating hearts to ending weeping toddlers at town meetings so the rain starts, no one says thank you to an invisible being that society mandates believing in quite like the Aztecs. We know very little about what religious practices were held at home, but we do know a bit about the community practices that were upheld by the Aztec nobles. You know what it is, it's a believing God or we'll send you to him type of vibe. They also didn't call themselves the Aztecs, and they were actually a grouping of a few indigenous communities that were renamed by settlers. If someone takes a bunch of groups of people and renames them as one big nation, it's fair to say that they have a strange viewpoint to say the least. Yo, my name is Az, and this is Amoeba, and we own this place now.
Hello, my name is John, this is Maddie and Beth, and we actually live here.
Weird names, I don't like them. We're just gonna call all of you Squeakus.
I'd rather you not.
Quiet, Squeakus, come and hail from this jar. I'm telling you all of this because a lot of the information I'm talking about is from the Florentine Codex, which was written from that skewed European perspective. Anyways, that whole rambling paragraph basically boils down to we know nothing about it. And the little we do know is at best incredibly skewed and at worst completely wrong. Also, good luck figuring out any of those names because I barely speak English and holy hell is that a lot of consonants. The Aztecs believed that the universe already passed through 4 ages, and at the end of every age it would end and reform. Fun fact, this is why everyone thought the world was ending in 2012. F's in the chat for all those people from that Doomsday Preppers show that bought those flat screens and jet skis no money down till 2013. Aztecs believed that they were in the 5th age of the universe, presided over by the god Tonatiuh. We know this from reading the inscription on a large sunstone from the era. It was thought that the 5th age needed to be maintained by nourishing the sun, earth, and the rain. They did this in many ways, including fasting, channeling deities through impersonation, and human sacrifice, which we'll get to soon, but I gotta explain you some things first. The Aztecs believed that the human body was a reservoir of 2 sacred powers, Tonale and Teolia. Tonale was the energy associated with the sun. It was the source of the human body's strength and health, and it was stored in the head and the hair. I wonder if we showed them like a muscular bald man, would their entire religious beliefs just shatter and they would spiral into a collective societal crisis? This energy is believed to be bestowed upon humans in the fetal form by the creation gods known as the Lady and Lord of Duality. Teolia is stored in the heart, and it is the divine power tied to thought, reasoning, perception, and understanding. So I guess the closest thing that it could be related to in modern religions is kind of like a soul brain. When a person dies, their Teolia leaves the body, and when that person is a warrior, it rises to the sun. These energies were thought to be stored not just in humans, but in animals, plants, and objects as well. It was thought that the priests had the most Teolia, which is ironic to me, because the atrocities you're about to see them commit don't exactly scream thoughtful, reasonable, or sensible person. The Aztecs thought to make sure that the world remained stable, they had to feed some of this energy back to the gods. There are a lot of different gods in Aztec culture. Some sources say as many as 200. Anyways, to do them any justice, Aztec gods would need their own video. There are 3 loose groupings of gods that some people don't agree with, but I'm not an anthropologist, so I don't really care. I mean, like, I got an A in anthropology, but the only time I ever showed up was the exam. These 3 groups are celestial creativity gods, rain and agricultural fertility gods, and war, sacrifice, nourishment of the sun and earth gods. One of the most prominent gods in Aztec mythology is His name is this, I'm not gonna try. A deity that represents the sun, war, human sacrifice, and the patron of the city Tenochtitlan. This is the Templo Mayor. While this monument was unfortunately mostly destroyed in the Spanish conquest, the foundation still remains intact. There are similar temples in other cities, but this one is the most famous. The entire temple symbolizes a myth associated with that guy with the big name, and the story goes a little something like this. So our boy was in his mother's womb, and then his sister, who was named this, tried to attack his mom with her 400 brothers, and as soon as she attacked, our boy emerged from the womb armed and ready for battle. Jesus Christ, I don't need to know what your downstairs looks like after giving birth to a sword. He won the entire battle as a butt-naked, still placental-covered fetus, and then he decapitated his sister and threw her body off Serpent Mountain where she broke into pieces at the bottom. Yeah, I guess they're just like really gifted and intelligent for their age. Your children are sociopaths! We know this because we found another big stone depicting that name decapitated and in pieces at the base of the temple. Seems unfair when Aztecs draw gory stuff, it gets preserved as a historic artifact. But when I draw this in elementary school, I have to go to the counselor. This stone, along with a lot of other danger noodle imagery at the temple, is thought to be the connection to that story. Now with that, it's time for what the more perverse section of my audience was waiting for. Human sacrifice. The The Aztecs sacrificed both humans and animals. Some form of sacrifice was a daily occurrence for the Aztecs. Aztec people spilled more of their own vein juice than a die-hard fan of My Chemical Romance. Larger sacrifices that took lives were practiced around once a month or so. Some sources say as many as 20,000 people every year were sacrificed. They had to be making a ton of babies to make up for this. Some of these sacrifices mimic the myth of our boy's birth, where the priest dismembers the victim like he's breaking down a raw chicken and then kicks him down the stairs. Another notable sacrifice is the festival of Taxatl. For a modern day equivalent, imagine at the end of the Macy's Thanksgiving Day parade if we took the most famous celebrity off the float and sacrificed them publicly. Prior to the ceremony, the priest chooses a young captured warrior that is in peak physical condition. They dressed him like a god, and he lived among the people for a year and was treated kind of like a celebrity. After 1 year, when he's comfortable and unsuspecting, the sacrifice is brought to Templo Mayor, and a priest would cut out his heart while the victim screams louder than that guy on the bus who saw me snort an earthworm. The priest would then either proceed to eat the still beating heart like it was a goddamn apple, or incinerate it to feed the sun. Sometimes they would flay off the skin with a ceremonial dagger, and the priest would squeeze into it as a costume to represent the deity and wore it around like a kid looking for Halloween candy. Neighboring rulers would be invited to witness these sacrifices. So some scholars thought they did it as kind of like a warning to stay in line, both to neighboring rulers and members of their own society. Hey, isn't it so nice that your nation and my nation are such good friends that we can share this moment of watching this war prisoner whose home nation didn't listen to everything I said be painfully tortured? Sometimes children were sacrificed because their tears were apparently valued by the god of rain. Oftentimes, the nobles of the Aztec society would eat the flesh of the sacrificed victims to further please the gods. I don't know what I would consider someone who is greatly pleased by the thought of sacrificed child tears and toddler cannibalism, but I certainly wouldn't call them a god. Side note, one of the worst possible existences I can think of is the ghost of someone who believes they got sacrificed to make sure the sun came back, who saw the demise of the Aztec society after their death. Not only because they would witness the demise of their society and the loss of their entire family, that's just normal ghost crap, but because they would see that the sun would still come back after the sacrifices stopped. And no one died ever again. The end. If you like this video, please subscribe, hit the bell with all notifications enabled, like, watch all of my other videos, buy millions of stickers from my Redbubble shop, and devote the rest of your existence to rewatching everything I have ever made. If you enjoyed this video, maybe you'll enjoy a video about, how the bubonic plague doctors kind of just used the whole medicine thing as an excuse for sadism. Watch the plague doctors video. Please do it. I'm desperate. I'll do anything. I want to especially thank all of my most devoted cult followers. Hello, you guys. A little hard. That was a 2 out of 10 burp. Also, do you wonder why I'm in a bunker this week? Me too. Well, I'm not gonna tell you. If I told you, it would fuck some things up for me, so I'm not gonna do that. Don't ask why I'm in the bunker, just don't ask. As always, like, submit the bell, and I will see you all in hell.
Okay, bye.